to the cabinet meeting on the 11th of September. Have we got any apologies for absence? There's Joe Bakin and Jane. Mark. Well, she might get here, she might not. So she asked to for me to put her apologies in. Are there any declarations of interest?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah.
I have one, which is item 6. I'm a member of the Vicknell board, so again, I'll propose to leave the meeting when you get to that item.
We're going to put that item 6 to the last on the agenda. Is that okay? So Kevin will have to
certainly
hang about. Item 3, minutes of the last meeting. Pages 4 to 8. Are we happy with them?
yeah.
They removed. Secondly, all in favour? Thank you. Then we've got the simpler recycling. Oh, any urgent items? I don't think we have we? Anybody? No. Item 5, simpler recycling. Who wants to do it, Steve or?
I'll start off. Okay, if that's all right.
Yeah.
And then if there's any questions, difficult ones, join me. Conveniently. The report, Chair, is just to now bring to your attention simpler recycling and the changes that are being brought in as a result of that. I'm not going to go through all the report, but just highlight something. One of the main ones are the extended producer responsibility, EPR, which is shifting it from the consumer to the producer for the packaging in shops and goods, and the deposit return scheme, whereby there'll be community-based places, receptacles or whatever, to take bottles and things like that back to get a small deposit back. There is an impact for us on that, in that if we're not collecting it, then some of the money we'll get for our recycling will be reduced. So there's potentially reduction to some income from that in the future. The other things we're looking at is on here is the collection timetable and schedules that we've got, because from next year we've now got to introduce collecting food waste separately. So it'll be a weekly collection. There are 2 options in the report, Chair, for that, outlining that. Our preferred one is option 1, to go with that. And the main reason being that the other change would be to separately collect cardboard from the rest of it. And there'd be a phenomenal cost to us if we did that. Just for the vehicles and separate vehicles, an extra bin alone would be over £1 million. So we're not looking at that option, Chair. TEEP, the technical, economic, environmental and practical assessment, is the one that we have to go through to look at our collection methods and to get the exemption not to collect cardboard separately. And the other main reason for the paper is, Chair, that when we collect food waste weekly, as well as the vehicles that we've had to buy for that, we also need to recruit about 19 extra staff, which is a significant number. And although Lee could do that, because it's a budget in excess of £200,000, I think Lee's going to take that to council for approval on that. Do you want to say anything on that, Lee, at this point?
No, I think you've covered it, Councillor Pickering. Like I say, technically it could be done, but it's of such significance. This is a big change in the way we do things from a waste collection point of view, and that's a big number of staff. It's worthy of awareness and ownership as a council, because over and above paying these people, whenever you grow the establishment, there's a lot that goes along with that, aside from the money. You know, there's responsibility, welfare, all that support. So that's the rationale.
Yeah, thanks, Jane.
Yeah, can I just clarify on top of that? So normally speaking, when you have growth to your establishment of this size, you have a budget growth as well. So this is a slightly unusual case in that we don't need to grow the budget. We can do this with existing resources because of the additional EPR funding that we're getting. So it's a little bit of an unusual case because normally if you were taking on 19 staff, you would be approving a budget at the same time. So absolutely support what Lee's doing, but just want to be really clear that there's no budget growth, so we don't have to take it to council under the budget and policy framework.
Thank you for that, Jane. I mean, the other thing just highlighting here, it does give us the opportunity to, if we wanted to extend the green bin collection. And we're looking at doing that, Chair. So apart from about 4 weeks in December, where there's holiday times and we need to readjust the cycle of the calendar, the green bin will be more slightly extended as well. People have requested that before. It's been questions that we've had put to us. So we are listening to people, Chair, and where we get the opportunity, we will do that, and that's in this paper as well.
Okay.
If there are any further questions, Chair, I'm happy for that before I move the recommendations. And as I said, it's a very complicated job. I'll be gladly answering them.
The only thing I find difficult, it's titled simpler. And we've had a well-known pattern for a long period of time. I know we can't change it, but I think implementing it and the uptake will have to be managed very well from our side to encourage people to do it in a slightly different way. And if you read, the Burgundy bin for years has taken plastic, steel, glass, etc. And a lot of that will be removed from because it will be returned or be on a pay bike.
Yeah.
And if the pay bike is, as kids we used to go around collecting pop bottles for tuppence, and it did quite a bit to your spending money per week if you did it correctly. But if you've only got vouchers for where you got it from, the person, speaks to you straight away. We have to get taxis to go to shopping. We're old age pensioners. Can we get back to the same shop, or is it all interchangeable? And I'm just saying, I think we've got to do a lot of work here to amplify it and when it is introduced to make sure it's used as it should be. So I disagree with simpler recycling. I'd like to, I won't propose that we say recycling.
Joe, did you want to say out? Joe, yeah.
I'm just picking up on that point. We are trying to encourage that behavioural change. One of the proposals that we've not received money for is to introduce liners, compostable kitchen liners for people. Because some of the feedback you get from residents is it's a bit of an ugly and a horrible thing to have to collect food waste separately. So you need to make it as clean as possible. And if people are getting used to that change with providing them with liners in the home and then taking it to the curbside to put it in, then it's a cleaner way of transporting it rather than just emptying straight into the can. So totally pick up what you're meaning about, trying to make it simpler. It used to be called the consistency agenda. And then it became simpler recycling. So but I think a robust communications and completely going to be working with officers and customer services, comms, to make sure we're rolling this out. And also, this is happening throughout Derbyshire and the nation. So there's going to be so much information about this.
I know it's imposed upon us, and you can't do anything about it, but we must make it work equally as well as the system we've got at the moment. That's all I'm saying. And it will be a hard sell, I think, in some sorts of ways.
I'm happy, Steve. Are you happy, Steve?
If there are no other questions, yeah, I'll move the recommendations in the paper, in the report.
1 and 2, I'll
That was
second.
1 and 2, Chair, yeah.
I'll second those. Are we all in favour of the recommendations as they're there? Thank you. Go and set 19 people on there. You can't go to council.
Council, under council.
Well, we'll just be going live. If we get the recommendation, I'd like to get those out by October.
That's it. Lovely. Item 7 then, equality plan and duty review. That was going to be Jane as,
Yeah, I'll be taking that, yeah. Okay, thanks, Chair. So this is the a review of the Equality Plan objective. So under the Equality Act, we have 3 core obligations which are referenced in this design document in your pack. So eliminating discrimination, victimisation and harassment, advancing equality of opportunity and fostering good relations. So they're the 3 core obligations that we have under the Equality Act. In addition, we have the public sector equality duty, which requires us to set equality objectives. And we do that through our equality plan. So this one document is just demonstrating some of the things that the council has done across those 3 broad obligations, plus our equality plan that keeps the focus within the council. So there's plenty of stuff in there. All this activity is obviously all referenced through the council plan as well. It's part of the day job, it's what we do. It's just nice to throw a spotlight on it specifically so members can see, and the public can see as well, how we're meeting those obligations. So just a few things to pick out. Members may be aware that we had a spate of hate crime incident in Fort Longfield. That was all in the treaty project that's been undertaken. So that's monitoring the situation and using the opportunity to get funding and do something positive about that. Training is obviously an ongoing thing that we do, making sure that all staff and also members have good equalities awareness training, and then also specific training. So Leisure recognised that they wanted some autism training that they had for their frontline staff. Corporate complaints, just the one that alleged discrimination that was investigated. This is from a customer and it wasn't upheld, but obviously we have processes in place for that and my team get involved as oversight. So it's a different pair of eyes looking over the actual investigation and outcome. And then we also asked tracking questions through our resident survey, which we started back in 23. And we'll be asking that question again this autumn. So just finding out how well people from different backgrounds get on together. So that's something that we're keeping track on as well. And we've improved the equality impact assessment process. So hopefully members such as yourself will be getting better information in your council reports where it's got an equality impact. That should be more obviously referenced in your papers. Advancing the equality of opportunity, then you'll see from the document stacks of examples of what we do, because it's basically the day job, isn't it? Providing services to residents and customers. So lots of improvement in the leisure centres. Obviously, Clane Cross Active's got fantastic facilities for disabled people, and lots of walking activities and supporting vulnerable people throughout the community. So again, that's good evidence for our equality duty obligations. And then the last one, fostering good relations. The big thing that we did on this last year has been the BSL event that we did, where we had BSL speakers come into the council, and we did that engagement event with them, which Councillor Barry was part of that. And then we celebrate a number of diversity days just to give a bit of a spotlight on older people, younger people, men, women, disabled people, carers, that sort of thing, just to make that so it's more embedded. So that's what this document's all about. It's really a celebratory document just to show that we're meeting our obligations and that we take diversity seriously. It underpins everything that we do as a council. So it's not an added bolt-on extra, it's embedded. So bring it here. It went to scrutiny yesterday. It was well received there as well at the services scrutiny. So that concludes my report, Chair.
Thanks, Gav. That's really, really good. Any questions or comments?
Just to welcome the report. It is a good story, and it just shows that we should always be testing ourselves to make sure that we are achieving the objectives that we say we're achieving, and we welcome the challenge that people will give us, whether it's within this organisation, but from members or officers, but also externally as well, to make sure that we're actually living on what we say and what we all believe.
Yeah, I'd echo that. Like you say, it's always, you can do your best, but you could always do something better, because hopefully, luckily, say, you've got none of these issues, so it's sometimes you're not always 100% capturing everything. So yeah, well done. That's a great report. Shall I move the recommendation then, just there, that the progress against the objectives set within the equality plan and ongoing compliance with the equality duty be noted? So we're happy with that?
I'll take that, Chair.
All happy? Yeah, thank you, Kath.
Okay, thank you.
Then we move on to the performance report dated April to June.
Okay. Do you want me to cover this one as well?
Yes, please.
Okay, so as usual, it's packed full of information across the full council aims. So there's plenty of information for you to look through, and that's the design bit at the end, which obviously is what we also publicise afterwards. So under a great place to live well, then obviously one of the big achievements in the April to June period was the opening of Claycross Active. So obviously that's a culmination of lots of work across the council, and which is a brilliant outcome there. So that's good to see. There's also the additional year on the UK Share Prosperity Fund and gearing up for that and getting the programme started. So a lot of work in the programmes team and other teams supporting that. Community safety is very proactive, as you know, and there's quite a lot of updates regarding community safety and the use of the powers where they've got new targeted divisions. And also the Dronfield graffiti project, which I've already referenced. So that's a flavour of things that happened under the Live Well one. Regarding the metrics, obviously it's Q1, so the beginning of the financial year on that. Just the one remaining on red, and that's to do with the dog patrols and the environmental one. Performance is better in this quarter, so 19 patrols undertaken. Q4 there was only 2, so that's a significant improvement, but it's still short of the target. That team is still not fully staffed, and they're waiting for a trainee post to go through the job evaluation because they want a more substantial post in that area, not a trainee post. And that's still going through. Once that's gone through, they can go out to advert and they'll be fully staffed. So that's the only sort of issue there on that one. Great place to work then. Lots of things starting off again, such as the digital skills project. That's already achieved some progress already. Derbyshire Accelerator programme again, that's hit some of its targets already going forward. And also a lot of events in Q1, so you'll see in the document quite a lot of events that the team have been involved in or going to, and doing that business engagement with various organisations. Regarding public services then, as you can imagine, the stacks of stuff on here. Lots of achievements. Business bulletins growing quite well to do with vacancies, so that's had a couple of hundred increase in Q1. Major systems review, Jane's been heavily involved in, that's come to an end, but that's obviously the start of a process, not the end of a process. So that's all about internal efficiencies and what to invest in and what to put back on and the rest of it. So that's a big piece of work that's got lots of teams involved. Quite a few public consultations going through, especially around play area improvements and people getting the opportunity to say what they want improving in those areas. And then we've done really good things like make sure we've published our accounts on time and got a good audit score for cyber security. So the things that keep the organisation safe and out of the headlines, lots of positives to report there. Regarding the metrics, all on target, all within target, except for internal reviews. So they're the more complicated complaints where they've already been dealt with at a level 2, and then they get escalated because the person's not happy or fully satisfied. So 3 of those were out of time, and they were all planning ones. I think that's down to the complexity of the issues or the process that was involved. The only one on the trend metrics that's showing as negative, it's not really negative to be fair, is the capital receipts. And obviously capital receipts sales take time to go through, so we won't particularly expect anything to be captured in Q1, but we'd expect something to be in there for Q2. And then the last one is the environment. So as you'll all be aware, we've got the Warm Homes Local Grant Scheme. That's a significant amount of money that'll be used to improve. Is it rented social ones this time? It's both.
It's both this time, yeah.
And I know all the paperwork that's going through for that. There's quite a lot of paperwork that has to be done, these share agreements and all that, before they can actually get going with that one. And then they've done things around Earth Day, Food Waste Action Week and things like that. And the new community recycling officers forging good links with schools and community groups to get that engagement there. It's been a while since we've had somebody in that post, so that's a positive thing that's in there. No Mo May. Lots of sites have been added to that, and then there's been campaigns around Garden Week, Great Big Green Week. So quite a lot of diversity across all four aims there. So really for your information, but no undue concerns at this point in time.
Thank you. Again, another brilliant report, you know, it builds on the final report from last year.
Yeah.
And everything seems to be going great. According to Chris, we're up to 3,000 members, I think, at Claycross Active. I did my filming there last week. That'll be on the website for you all to enjoy anytime soon.
Were you on a treadmill while you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I bought that. Oh.
That went it.
That way to treadmill, it were hard.
Sledging.
I was sledging. I pushes somebody on the sled. And it's in a punch bag. We're getting ready for a fight next week.
Yeah.
That's a in joke.
Not actually fighting, just to make it okay.
Yeah, I'm not actually fun. But it's really good. I don't know if any officers have got anything to.
Well, I'd like, I mean, I'm sure Matt and others may well as well. I mean, just a recognition, really. We're halfway through this administration, and we set about at the beginning of this administration, in advance of the administration, actually, in terms of preparing that council plan and understanding what members' priorities were, going through that VOSTO process and producing and developing this as we've gone on. And every time I read it, I feel both really well informed, but really reassured and proud as an organisation what's being achieved across all those things, all of which are clearly linked back to the delivery of against the council plan, which is really easy to understand in a way that we've never been able to do before. And collectively developing this and being on this journey, I'm still impressed. We're halfway through. This is just going to get better, in my opinion, up until the end of the administration. So thanks to everybody that's involved organisationally, but Kath and the team for pulling this together, really visually interesting and enjoyable to read. So thanks.
Yeah, that's good. Matt, Jane, are you happy?
Nothing further to add from me.
What Lee said.
What Lee said. And I'll say what Lee.
All the words.
He so often does.
Well said, Lee.
It just reaffirms that when politicians put themselves before the electorate, they need to have a clear idea of what they want, that they can articulate, not just to the electorate, but also to the officers, and give them advance notice so that you can prepare, so that when people do win, and it shows the contrast between how it's worked here and how it may be working at other authorities where people win control and don't then know what to do with the power once they've got it.
Yes, yeah. What he said.
Just a note as well, I've done the scrutiny round this week, and AMO did one last week, and we got questions at everyone, which is good, because obviously scrutiny members are reading the papers and asking for further information and stuff like that. So it feels like it's more engaged.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Brilliant. And like you say, there are a lot of way compiling that pizza or whatever you call it and making it obvious.
He was like a genius.
Absolute cheat.
I think it tells them more about where you eat.
What you doing, Matt?
I think I did part of it.
Which slice?
I did pepperoni.
That's it.
Well, it is. It does keep things in, like you say, in the swimming lanes, Leo.
Yeah.
And we know which bits is which. Anyway, I'll move the recommendation that progress against the council plan 23 to 27, that the objectives be noted.
Say that, Chair.
All in favour? It's been noted. Right, you can leave now, Kevin.
See you, Kevin.
Don't go back.
Right, I'm going to go as well and leave you
Okay.
get on to the rest of your agenda.
Brilliant, Kath, thank you.
Thank you, Kath.
Thank you.
You're looking to sneak off. You can go in now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you've got to stay, Joe.
Say, Joel, you go.
I can't see it.
Very good. Very good. Very funny, isn't he?
No.
Yeah, it's you want to take this, Jane?
Yes, I'm more than happy to take this chair. So
You'll all be aware that in 2007 we formed an arm's length company, Ricknord Homes, and they've been carrying out our housing services since that point. You'll also all be aware that in 2022 the original management agreement that was in place came to an end. It was due to expire, and we carried out a full options appraisal at that time. So throughout 2021, and it took about 18 months from beginning to end, I would say, we carried out a full options appraisal. And during that time, we were supported by Savills Housing Consultancy. And during that time, we looked at the whole shooting match. So we looked at bringing it back in-house, keeping it where it is, and every variation in between. The review was pretty conclusive that the service that we were receiving and that the way that we were going to continue to work worked well in terms of service delivery to the tenants. And we identified that we wanted to work much more closely together in terms of partnership working. But as from a legal point of view, having that contract was something that we had to do. So we put another 15-year management agreement in place in 2022, and that has 5-year break clauses. So it was 2021. Forgive me, you've got the date. So we're now at the point where we need to look at the next break clause. So we've undertaken a review in consultation with the leader who oversees the housing portfolio. We came to the view that because we were externally inspected last year, that gave us sufficient assurance that we didn't need to go and do a full options appraisal again, and that we didn't need to go and do an external review again. So we took the assurance from the regulator and the view that the findings were good, and that we've got a very clear roadmap where we wanted to go, as sufficient evidence for us to be able to use that as the basis for us to build on our review. And the report highlights at 2.4 the areas that we've looked at, and that includes looking at the TSMs, and it involves looking at all of the things that the inspection said. We've done a full review of complaints, and we've looked at getting all of that stock condition data that we needed to do. So we're actually at 82% stock condition data now, which, considering we're at 35% when we were inspected last year, is a really good outcome. Ricknord have done a really great job on that. So taking all of that into consideration and taking into account the quarterly meetings that we've been having with the regulators since we were inspected, and their, I think, pleasure with the progress that we've made is the best way to describe it. We're now in the position where last week we were invited to submit a request to be re-inspected. Now, we don't have to go through a full re-inspection regime. It's a review of where we were, where we are now, and they will hold a panel, an external panel, to decide whether they feel that we've done sufficient to move us to the next grade. So in our case, because we're at C2, that would move us to C1. Well, that's the highest grade that you can actually achieve. So we're actually waiting now to hear from the regulator as to how that goes. They've got a meeting later this month. Taking all of that into consideration, myself and the portfolio holder have considered that it's appropriate to award another 5-year contract, and that's what we're looking for your support today. That's the first bit. The second bit is, some of you may have heard, some of you may not have heard, but Lorraine Shaw, who's been managing director at Ricknord Homes for the past 18 years, has decided to retire. And to ensure some continuity and a managed transition into that, we looked to secure a replacement before Lorraine actually leaves. They've done that process. I was part of that process. They've done the interviews, and they've appointed Deputy Managing Director Neil Clark into that position. The board ratified that appointment on the 4th of September. And the reason that I'm bringing it here, they're a separate company, so it's nothing to do with us who they appoint, but the management agreement requires us to ratify significant appointments, and that's detailed at 2.8 in the report. So I'll hand back to you, Chair, for any questions and to move the recommendations.
Thanks, Jane, and I'm more than happy. I'll come back to the recommendations, but I went to the board meeting last week, and again, the relationship, and I said it there and I'll say it here, between Ricknord and the council, it's the best it's ever been. I think it's working really well, and I know they're quietly confident they'll get this C1. And like again I said last week, is are you reading all the different papers that there's quite a lot of housing associations and different things. They're getting C4s, and there's not many up at that level, not many at all that's going to get a C1. So I think we should be celebrating that. I mean, it's not perfect, like we say. There's always issues with customers. You've got to say customers, not tenants.
Customers.
That's what.
Into a shop for
Actually, there's a move in the sector to move back to tenants.
Yeah.
Tenants rather become tenants.
I get why this,
Yeah,
why they've
yeah.
been customers, because it does give you that
Customer service.
customer service angle. So I could live with that now, but and it's there's other sorts, not just tenants. There's other customers that
There are.
that Rickney will deal with. So it does make sense. Like there is a thing to that, but it is doing really, really well. And just before I move the recommendations, any comments, questions
Oh,
to take?
just one.
Yeah.
That's all I've got. Only one promise. It's Jane, really. Oh, can I? Well, not necessarily just you. You know, this unity authority thing, if it does go that way, what happens with Ricknold? Will it be?
Just like any other service. So we've got this all across the county. We've got outsourced leisure services. We've got outsourced waste services. We are the only one with an outsourced housing service. But in terms of the principles of LGR versus service delivery, it's just the same. Everything transfers over, and then the service transformation by the new authority at that point.
The simple answer is we don't know.
Yeah.
We honestly don't.
You've got to think about it, haven't you? You know,
Yeah,
Cross the line.
it's definitely.
it's not
Uh,
something that you can
well, we have
just
thought
push
about it.
away, is it?
But every authority that's going to be in the unitary has got a different way of managing their housing. So all that's got to be put in the mix and see where it comes out.
And leisure and waste.
Waste.
Service.
It's all the frontline services.
So
You might just see it in as a bad job in them then.
not straightforward.
Never know.
No, but again, I don't want to say too much, but with this C1, they're positioned as best they can.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, there's nothing out
to
here.
carry on or whatever. But anyway, that's it. Are you all right, Steve?
Yeah.
And with the recommendations, one, to agree the 5-year extension of the management agreement in accordance with clause 2 of the management agreement to RHL for the provision of housing service effective from the 1st of April 2026. And secondly, to ratify the appointment of managing director as required by clause 19.1 of the management agreement. Are we all in favour? Are we take that?
I'll second that.
Vote first.
Are we all in favour?
Yeah, we're in favour.
Thank you.
Okay, this is at your pleasure, but can I make a suggestion that it might be nice for the cabinet to write to Lorraine
Oh, yeah.
for a service?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Oh, definitely,
So,
definitely.
Yes.
When shall we? 5th of October, something like that.
okay,
Send us flowers or something.
I'm halfway through a poem. Don't
Oh,
spoil
right.
it with fire. Oh dear, it says that'll stop very easy.
Make sure wind blows that away in car park when he's written it.
Go and tell Kevin he can come back in if he wants. Well, we've done anyway, haven't we? I don't have to read that bit out to end. I still have to do that. On this one?
Andrew Day.